Hello there everybody and welcome to my new tutorial series for Desynced. In this one I'll do a Let's Play tutorial series aimed for people that are totally new to the game. I'm going to introduce step by step all the things that the game has to offer. There will be always a main topic that I'll follow, but the idea behind this Let's Play approach is that I can explain you the whole big picture in the flow of things rather than putting up things too theoretically. I will work on short tutorials as well if this ain't your style, so you'll just have to wait until these are finished, but I'm working on that as well. That being said, we are going to get started here and we're just going to go for our standard gameplay. I'll disable minigames because I dislike them. They're basically locking lootable places. And except for that, I'll leave everything with standard settings. I'll put the seed of this gameplay into the description box, so if you want to just play along with me and have the same map, this number will get you there. I'll have it down there for quick copy paste. So we're going to get started, and first of all, Desynced is kind of a factory game, and the unique point of it is that everything is customizable. That means the scout robot here that we see, it's up to me to decide what kind of modules I'll install and what kind of function this machine has to fulfill. The same thing goes for buildings in this game. This is the fundamental idea behind this game, and it's wonderful. We're going to work around that. There's more in store. There's also programmable bots, and we're going to cover everything at a time. So for starters, we have now 3 scouts. You can't just drag and drop a rectangle over them to select them all at once, or just left click them to have them one. And right clicking them will move them around, just like you might know from any real-time strategy game that you already played. So the command center is where we will set up shop. It's going to be the first structure where we can produce things, and it's also going to be a jack-of-all-trades building that provides energy and all manner of different things of comfort. So we're going to put this thing, therefore, somewhere where we can access resources easily. We have metal here. We also have a small chunk of crystal here. So metal and crystal are the 2 baseline materials. I'm going to scoot around with my scout now to check out where other things are. So here we have a larger crystal patch. We could utilize that. Just checking out if there is a spot nearby where we can have both things at once. I'd say this one is to my liking. I'm going to go here to the command center, and we're going to deploy base here, roughly there. Yeah. So the base idea of my decision here is that these patches will get us through the start, and later on we will expand the base towards these patches with more specialized sectors of our building style. If this doesn't make sense now, I promise I'll do my best to make it make sense later. So now then, we have our command center, and now we're going to move our scouts on over there. We start with 2 scouts that have a mining module equipped, a laser mining tool. So we can now send one of these fellas to mine us some metal, and the other guy to mine us some crystal. So we have both of these base materials available, and the 3rd scout is just available for us to be used wherever we need them. So the command center comes equipped with a fabricator. This is a basic building module. With this one, we convert materials into something else. Since we're right now mining metal ore, we're going to go over to the fabricator. You can just drag and drop these, or just simply tap it once and tap it another time over there. So here we can set up production. The first thing we want are a couple of metal bars, because whatever you want to produce, it'll require metal bars. More fabricator modules, metal bars. Assemblers, well, even more than metal bars. Over here we have the building module, which you can also access with a hotkey B, where we can set up buildings. And as you see here, a building which can house something like a fabricator for us is also requiring metal bars. So all in all, let's refine us some metal bars. For that purpose, I'm going to select this and tell this thing to produce us 10 of them. There we go. So now our scout here automatically picks up the job and carries the necessary ore to the factory. That's because he's connected to what's called the logistics network. That's this icon here. Every robot that has this thing lit up is going to proactively transport things to where they are needed. If a building needs something to produce something, logistics connected bots will do the job for you. It's not that easy, but it's a start. So the first thing that I want to produce is another fabricator, because, you know, this helps us to produce more things. The second fabricator, we're going to set it up in here, so we can now safely produce more of these metal bars just at a faster time. Let's do this like that. Now, I want to outsource that production from our command center. We don't want to produce everything in our command center. That's just not the way that I want to do things. Also, I do know one thing for sure. Crystals, we need way less than iron, or metal. So after this one has filled its stack, you can see here the operation. We're going to right click that, and I'm going to drag and drop these stacks into the command center. And now I'm going to order the second miner to go for metal ore. Those 60 crystal will get us somewhere, and if we ever need more, we can pick it up. Also, there's scattered resources lying around. You see these? You can just right-click them with your scout, and he's starting to pick these up. You can, this way, collect resources fairly quickly. Scattered resources all over the world. You can find every type of scattered resource lying around. So this gives us a nice starting budget. So we're going to build our first building. I'm going to set it up over here, right into the vicinity of the metal patches, because I want to bring up one of those fabricators, or should rather say I'm going to make another fabricator for this building specifically. And now we're going to transport it on over there. I'll just left click it and left click it another time, and now my scout has transported this thing over here. So this one is going to be our first permanent factory. So here, instead of defining how many of these I want, I put this building on permanent production of metal bars, because I know we will need that. Absolutely. So over here we have now prefabricated a couple of metal bars, but we have now basically outsourced that. I will now build another one of these buildings, so we can put one of those fabricators to another use, and in the meantime, we're going to build ourselves a couple of metal plates, enough to build ourselves the first assembler, so 5 of these will do. There we go. The second fabricator I'll be slapping on over here, so we can do now a better production. There we go. So here's one thing to give you an idea of how to balance these things. When you mouse over the metal bars and you press Alt, you get the ingredient requirements at the bottommost section there. So you can read out there that you need 1.5 mining modules to satisfy one fabricator. That's how you can calculate that. So if we add this together, it says that we need 3 mining modules to satisfy the needs of that. These laser modules, by the way, they're double as good as a regular miner, so we're in the clear for now. I'm going to go into deeper detail later when we're going to make that whole facility here larger, but I just wanted to point out that here you can see how much of what you need. For example, here we can read out that we'll need 1.3 fabricators permanently producing metal bars to satisfy one fabricator permanently producing metal plates. This way, we can calculate how many machines we actually will need to keep every machine permanently working. But I'm just foreshadowing here. I'll do that in an upcoming episode, more detailed, because right now we just don't have the necessary tools. Just wanted to fill the gap here. So we got now what we need to build the next machine. Here. There we go. So the assembler is the big brother of the fabricator. The interesting thing about it is the assembler does actually require a medium component slot, and this one is a small component, the fabricator. So what I'm trying to say here is we cannot put the assembler into this small building because you see there's the sockets diagram. This building only offers one small component socket. So this machine can only be ran in the command center for now. What it does here is it offers us more modern things, and most importantly, we can also build new robots here. Very, very important. But the other very important thing is we can build the uplink module, which is basically our research lab. It requires circuit boards. We are going to manually factor now every single component and every single circuit board now, because we cannot automate that process yet properly. It just won't work. So I'm going to build up another of these small fabricators because I want to automate the production of metal plates while I'm at it as well. I'm keeping everything right now on a small budget simply because I know that I have to work with the energy that my main base provides. We don't have the freedom to produce as we'd like to right now. So we're going to build up the uplink. The uplink will be our lab. So we put that module in here, and now we have a lab in the command center. The fun part here is we can now totally set up another fabricator, and if we need another function in this slot, we can change that whenever we want to. So research. We have the research system pretty plain and simple. You pay some resources to unlock new technologies. That's pretty easy to understand, and it's a pretty solid concept. So the first thing that we're going to go for is the research of the basic structures technology. It'll require us 30 metal plates, and it will offer us a better small building, which could fit 2 small components, and most importantly, a building that can fit medium components. That is very, very important for us, because that will give us the ability to host assemblers outside of the command center. So what happens now is we pay a couple of materials, then the lab goes for a cycle of research, then we pay a couple of resources, another cycle of research, and when that bar is full, we have the new tech. So to give us something to do in the meantime, let's configure that metal plate producer, because, you know, we totally will need that. And now we could, if we'd like to, upscale our production. And I'm going to do that to some degree to just give you an idea. So we're going to set up here 3 circuit boards, because that's what we're going to require for 3 robots. Every robot requires a circuit board and a couple of metal bars. These robots that we will build are worker frames. They are much less sophisticated than the scouts that we started with. They're slower, they have a smaller inventory if I remember correctly, so we cannot expect the same kind of heavy lifting from these as we have currently. And also, as you might notice here, our production of metal plates is just not enough. So what we're going to do is we're going to spice that up. And for now, we're going to cancel that production for a hot minute, get ourselves another fabricator so we can upscale that production a little bit. Obviously, we need way more metal plates than we are currently producing. So there we go. And now I want to introduce another nice feature. We press just C while hovering with the cursor over this one, and then you press V, and then you just can copy the settings onto the building. It requires, though, that the building has the same component as the one before. Otherwise, it won't work. So with this one, we can copy larger setups quite easily. We're also going to build another metal bar producer, because obviously we really, really do require more of everything. I just don't want to overscale my production before we are capable of increasing our own power output. Basically, at the very beginning of the game, you're confined by the energy output of your home center, and producing new energy does require research. It doesn't work without. You cannot do any progress in terms of power production without research. So here again, I press C, I press V, and here we go. Another metal part producer has been introduced. So here we could now check out. So we will now require 4.5 regular mining modules to satisfy those needs. These are 2 mining modules each, basically. That means we have now a consumption of more metal ore than we're actually currently producing. But that is an inevitable thing that will always happen sooner or later. That's why we're producing new robots, aren't we? So now we're going to go for new worker bots, but before I do so, I'm going to produce 3 new mining modules right away, because these are necessary as well. Because, you know, otherwise you just have the frame, but no equipment for it. Until then, we are doing fine with our research. Everything is going according to our plans. So this little setup here is all that I'm going to go for during the very early game. The next thing that I want to do is I want to research power. The caveat here is the power production that we acquire with this tech isn't too appealing. We will burn crystal directly to produce power. This is, well, a way to do it, but it's not my preferred way, because I prefer the power production of with solar and wind power much more, because, you know, those crystals, you need them for so many other things. It really doesn't feel good to spend your crystals for power generation. At least that's been my personal impression. So we're going to produce now these robots I've been talking about. And these will help us increasing our production. I'm going to slap one of them up here to the metal, because then we have enough metal mining for the job. And the other 2 guys will provide us crystal. So this guy will now receive his mining module. And as you see here, he's moving so slow. Check this out. This is the regular starting bot. And the other thing we're going to do is we're going to connect him with a logistics network. But the first thing that I want to do here is, as you see here, he's starting to deliver things. I don't want that. We right-click that, and I remove the check marks from deliver items and request items. This way, this miner will still provide his metal ore to the rest of the factory, but he won't be running for errands and other things that are reserved for logistic robots. Very important here. So we will now equip those other 2 guys with the mining modules that we want. And here we can do another fun thing. I just hover over the worker, press C to copy his settings, and then I press V to these. And as you see here, they'd be even copying the mining job, but I actually did this for, mostly for copying the settings of the logistics network. But as you've seen, you can even give them the same mining job this way. It's a pretty nifty thing. So we're going to mine ourselves some crystal chunks here, because obviously our research does require some, and we cannot do this all manually all the time. It just won't work that way. Okay, so the next thing we have to do is we have to provide reinforced plates. Luckily for us, we have already provided all the materials required for that. We have a steady production of metal bars and metal plates, so we're in the clear in that regard. All we need to do is we need to provide another assembler and then another building for this assembler. This is going to be our first big building, and as you see here, this big building though does require 20 of these fortified plates, so we have to provide these before we can do anything else. So this is one of the cases where we have to provide the material that we want to produce here in the command center first. To do this more effectively, I'll show you my personal favorite trick. and that's just to slap the second assembler in here. We don't require the lab right now. It's really not that necessary. Instead, we're going to order 10 reinforced plates here, 10 reinforced plates there, and this way we'll be getting into the production faster than otherwise. Really like that one because it's all about getting this whole thing kick-started, and every reinforced plates does require 8 seconds, so this way we get the job done ideally, if we're lucky, in about a minute. Here's one thing that I want to point out as well. Don't print out too many of these worker robots. They are the worst robot frame out there in the game. They get outclassed so quickly. Literally, just with the next technology, we unlock the Dashbot, which is such a pure upgrade compared to this one. I mean, this does continue the whole game. The Dashbot will be replaced by the Twinbot, which is also going to be a massive upgrade, but the worker robot is so bad and so easily replaced that I personally like to print out just like these 3 that I've did here, and then I'll rush for the Dashbots, and that's what we're going to do in this run as well, because I personally think there are so few advantages with these worker robots, except for their availability from the beginning. So I am going to put down some storage blocks here now as well, so we can store the materials that we're producing here too. So we finally have the reinforced plates together, so we're going to have to provide 2 chipboards too. So we're going to go for these as well. Here, be careful with how many you order. They take a very, very long time to be produced. And I'm going to order just another assembler because I want to keep that production here in the command center running. It is really, really useful to have that because at the beginning, you are very, very limited in your production capacity, and every little slot helps. That's been my experience, at least. Also noticeable here is that this one brave scout is huffing and puffing quite heavily under the strain of all the logistics work. We really need more logistics robots for the jobs that we need to get done. But if you want to have something to get done really quickly, you can also click it and put the check mark into high priority construction site. This way you can funnel resources more directly. If you don't do that, the robots will provide the resource evenly spread out over the buildings, which is sometimes really, really annoying. Okay, we put the assembler in here. And now we can get into the mass production of reinforced plates. Hooray! That's a really, really good progress. And we're going to be producing ourselves now some of these good things and another assembler. Oh, wait a sec. I actually want 2 of these because we're going to go right into the next production as well. Here, also, again, a very, very small scale production for starters of circuit boards, because we really need all these resources automated as fast as possible, but it's going to be very hard for us to provide these in a satisfying amount. But we'll be getting there. So these reinforced plates are also very, very important because they are the technology resource we require for new robots and, most importantly, solar power. And that's where I'm going to be heading first. I want the solar power quite badly because that's a really, really powerful upgrade for you in so many regards. So therefore, we are now going to go for this little construction pal here, also producing more of the reinforced plates here in the command center. Like I said, I'm giving my best to get the most out of my current situation. If you feel like you want to speed up things on your home end, you can totally feel free to print out more worker robots, but I did regret the construction of these quite badly in my personal experiences. They were getting on my nerves because I had to replace them. So I'll leave that one up to you. We are going to go now for another uplink as soon as the next thingy here has been built. But as you see here, it all takes a while. This is probably the slowest phase of the game because, you know, you have not much options here to speed up things due to the limited power that you have. In case you are using more power that you are producing, by the way, what will happen is that your robots will be low on power and will be losing efficiency in what they do. That means they're going to be very slow, and I don't like that. I just don't like that. Every module has, of course, a power usage as well, as you see. As long as it's running, it's eating power. So now we are going to put this on an endless production as well, because, you know, we got what we need for that. Okay, the last thing on my list now that I want to get done is another... Oh, wait a sec, I already did that. Or did I? No, sorry. Confuse myself now. So is another uplink, because, you know, we can do our research much faster with 2 uplinks. So we're going to ditch that production after the next reinforced plate has been finished. Just right-clicking it does cancel the job. And now we put 2 uplinks in there to research power transference, which will enable us to finally get our power flowing, and we can then expand our base way, way better, because we finally have a power income that we can work with. And as you see there, these 2 guys are now producing science simultaneously. So this is the way how to increase the throughput, in case you're wondering. And as you can also see, we're also overstretching our power. This does mean that we're currently using more power than we're generating, because this power cell only has a power production of 500. This means our robots are now currently burning through their batteries. They can go a while over 500. That's okay. They won't die immediately, but you should really avoid to have that as a permanent situation, because that is just not good. The uplinks, by the way, are the big power eaters here, but I just like to get the research early game done ASAP, since, you know, it is just something you'll be waiting for otherwise. The good thing is we have here already the reinforced plate together for the other science project, so we can now just put that on the queue so it'll get done afterwards. The basic robotics technology will unlock the next robot, and it'll also unlock the next type of plate. This game loves to upgrade its plates with more plates and more plates, but more about that in the next episode. I'll leave it like that. We have here now a brilliantly running starter base that is going to churn through the research. It is producing everything it requires. The only thing that we are a little bit short of on are crystals, but we'll be fixing that up in the next episode, when I'll be talking about blueprints, new worker, or these new dashbots, and many other funny things. So, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. We're going to continue next time. Leave me a comment down below. Leave me your thumbs up if you enjoyed, and as usual, consider subscribing. You'll get updated with all the new stuff I do, and it's a wonderful way of supporting this channel without paying a dime. There's also a playlist link in the description box leading to the entire tutorial series of this, and I hope that I'll see you again. Have a wonderful day. Thanks yet again for watching, and I hope that you'll enjoy this game. See you soon.